saya nampak ada banyak soalan dekat chat platform tu. Especially soalan daripada Dr. Raihana, Prof. Raihana Maidin. Mungkin you wants to speak direct to Dato' Asma. Prof.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Assalamualaikum Dato' Asma. So nice to meet you. I have got lots of questions, but you see, one of the things that holds people back is the psychological barrier that maybe we inculcated as we were growing up. You know, maybe people said things like, you know, you're only a girl, you're not capable of it, or various psychological hang-ups that even as you enter adulthood and beyond, you still retain a lot of this. And one of which is the fear of failure. You don't want to fail. You don't want to embarrass your family. You don't want to tarnish the good family name and all the rest of it. So one of the things that sometimes inhibits us from taking up leadership roles is the fear of failure. And then on the flip side is the fear of success, because it's like, okay, you've done it, you've made big, now you have to top that, and then you have to top that, and then you have to top that, you know? So did you ever have any fear as you approach your leadership, not your hakiki, not your research, because I think you were groomed to become that person in your profession, yeah, in your career. But what about leadership qualities? Because the list you highlighted is it's a tall order, Dato. It's like, oh my God, how to do all that lah? You know, you want to be an inspiring speaker, and then, it's all order. So did you have any fears? And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to Dato' Asma.
Thank you. Alright, do I have fear? I think during my younger days, ya lah. Tapi bila, bila I went through so much exposure and during my time in USM, that I can see things clearly already. I have no fear at that point. Bila I pergi dekat USIM, the confidence is there. Fear sikit-sikit, tapi lama kelamaan once you get to know the Usimians and getting, when you go to any university, kalau dia bukan university, learn to love that university, learn to love its people, and you find that it's much more senang untuk kita bekerja dengan universiti. So do I have fear? Rasanya tak kot. I can safely say right now, after the bashing that I get masa higher education, nothing will beat that already. Aku dah rasa at the end of the day, I am numb, people. That I'm to the point that bring it on, whatever it is, bring it on, because I'm going to take it head on. And that's why I kata you kena build this confidence as I learn throughout the years. You have to build that confidence and pasal apa takut nak fail? Because kalau kita fail, that's why saya kata when first time buat, of course you're going to fail. Tapi like I said, leadership, the learning of becoming a leader, kan? Many exposures that you have sebelum you are entrusted with leadership. So you can make failure mistakes at that time. So yang tu satulah saya tengok di kalangan wanita, bila given the opportunity, dia takut, dia ada ketakutan sedikit, so kat situ, like I said, once you kata no, the chance of you being given the second opportunity will not be there. So bila given the first opportunity, take it. You takut, tak takut, take it. Because that's the time you learn on the job. And you find that, why? Then you tanya, kenapa orang tu pilih saya? So mesti ada kehebatan pada diri saya yang saya dipilih. Right? So that in itself should inspire you to now say, hey man, before I give up, I need to give it a shot. And I need to give my best shot. So that's the thing lah, Maybe that's why I'm called the Iron Lady. But then, takut gapa gak? Alright. Ada lagi?
Any other question, Dr. Raihana?
Oh
Baik.
yes. Do you really want me to continue?
Bagi opportunity kat orang lain juga sama.
Kita dulu. Okay. Kalau ada orang lain sebab I nampak question ni very interesting. Tapi mungkin boleh ada orang lain lagi ke?
Can I just say something?
Ya,
Yes.
ya.
Okay, sila.
Hi, Assalamualaikum Datuk.
Ya.
I see a lot of this exposure that you've gained while being in the US, and in terms of your mannerism, in terms of how you respond to questions and the way you deliver, I think I agree with you that the training and the exposure is actually very important as well, because how you are trained, right from the early age, that has a lot of impact in terms of how you deliver your mannerism, even the tilt of your head, the smile and everything else. I could see it's different, because that's the first thing that I saw when I came back from the States. When I joined at my faculty, I could see that a lot of staff coming from the UK, they behave in a different manner. Staff coming from the States, they are different. We all speak English, but then different. The way we deliver, the way we act is different. I could see that from you being in the States for so many years, and I think
9 years.
Training and exposure is actually important. Now, my question is, some of our staff, the young lecturers, they may not have that kind of exposure, and not having that exposure and opportunities. I think what kind of advice would you give to us who are currently holding posts, so that we can guide our young ones to be nurtured and to have some kind of training and exposure, even though they don't have that opportunity to go abroad?
It's not about going abroad saja. It's about exposure. So like I said, it's not about where you get your degree. I mean, a lot of people in this chat probably graduate from Cambridge and Oxford and all the people, all those top universities of the world. But when they come back, what are they? What do they do? But it's not about where you get your degree, it's about what happened after you get your degree. When you come back, what do you do? So that's why I say that you may be very good student because you come back from a top university, but at the end of the day, are you a good leader? So to do that, that's why I kata, where do I pick up all this learning thingies? All the time when I was at USM, and the exposure at the national level. Very early, even associate professor, I was already in the steering committee at the national level. Tu belum jadi professor lagi, selalunya je kena professor baru ada opportunity. So all my training etc, picking up leadership is in Malaysia. Is overseas determine my personality, my attitude, my drive, my passion to want to say okay, bring it on. So that is the US training in me, but bring it on can also be a Malaysian training, apa yang susahnya. So but the exposure lah to me is very important. Sebab bila not many people are given the opportunity, but if you are given the opportunity, like I said, take it. Kalau nak jadi grant evaluator pun tak apa, take it, because a grant evaluator will get you into the circle of understanding how the thinking is now being done at the national level. So to me, bagi as many exposure in different ways and different opportunities, events, macam-macam lah that I can think about lah. Then of course listening to icons bercakap, the UniLeap group is going to listen to at least 4 vice chancellors, so each one ada dia punya cerita masing-masing, so mungkin you can pick up from there to see how others do their thing, Yeah. I rasa kena bagi as many exposure to all these young people.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Prof. Jaria. Just to lead the unit lead team, Dato, what is the dilemma? There is one question that they have to answer. What is your dilemma while you are become a leader of the most what we call impact dilemma for you, very difficult to solve or whatsoever that make you cry when you are a leader? Can you share with us?
Tak ada.
Tak ada.
Because soalan ni selalu ditanya pada saya, apa yang benda Allah yang you tak boleh solve? Kalau Tuhan kata tak ada disease yang tak ada cure-nya dan tak ada problem yang tak ada solution-nya. Soalnya sekarang ni is your mindset. Do you see this as a block or do you see this as the way how you want to get around the block? I kan daripada dulu lagi, I would tell my graduate students etc. I would even tell the young academics, do not see things as a block in your path. Alright, tak boleh buat ni, tak boleh buat tu, so you rasa this is a block. No, this is not a block. Now find a way around the block. If you continue to find a way around the block, nobody will block you. So like I said, you are happy or sad in the university depending on your understanding and mindset of what is considered a block. So kalau macam tu, saya rasa, that's why saya rasa saya tak ada masalah. You know why? Because it's a consensus decision. In whatever I do, participatory leadership is very important because you get the buy-in. It's not you alone having to make that decision. When a university is so VC-centric, this is problem besar. Problem besar. Because tak ada VC mampu hanyut semua. Mana boleh macam tu? Nobody is indispensable. Right? It's top management running the university. So this is a different era now. Okay? Like I said, this commanding don't know what ni habis dah cerita. This is now talking about participatory leadership. And participatory leadership is common among women leaders. Bagi wanita di dalam ni, it is all natural. So it's not like something it's in the genes, man. So you know, and when you have participatory leadership, you tak ada hang up lah. Tak ada hang up. You don't have to be threatened all the time because you say your piece, others say their piece. At the end of the day, kita decide to agree. Habis cerita, and your job now is to make sure it's done. So apa yang takutnya, right? So make sure, however, that decision is an informed decision and it's the right one. So you can test run that decision before you make it. You can even kata, okay, ada period of testing whether that decision is going to make or break the university and then lepas tu boleh review. Boleh juga buat cara macam tu. Tapi kita kena cubalah dulu. So like I said, nak takut pasal apa? Because this is a consensus decision. Dilema tak berlaku because kalau faced with a dilemma, faced with a decision, panggil JKPU, kita ada meeting. That's what teamwork is all about. Masalahnya heads of department jarang panggil meeting, so lecturer pun tak tahu what is happening dalam department. Heads of department takut because dalam meeting akan ada makhluk yang akan say things yang dia tak mau dengar and therefore at the end of the day dia malah bahasa Kelantannya and therefore tak payah panggil meeting. You know, dalam senate kita akan query, awaklah school ni tak panggil meeting, dekan tak panggil meeting sebab dekan takut nak bersuara dengan makhluk-makhluk yang ada sebab ada pro, ada con. This is what the negotiation skill is all about. To be able to have a meeting even in the most meeting yang paling drastic, makhluk yang most sarcastic pun, keep calm. Alright? Pergi dengan tim. Kalau you takut pergi seorang, pergi dengan tim. Bagi sama-sama rasa kepanasan itu.
Oh wow. Betul.
Good strategy.
Strategi. Don't play.
Okay, any other question? Ada Prof Abdul Karim ni post that question kat ni Maybe you can ask Prof Dato' Asmah personally. Mana Prof Karim ni, nak tengok wajah sikit.
Orang hebat ni.
Itulah, dengan nama aje ni Prof, where are you?
Dah keluar dah kot.
So the question is that dia kata, Dato' Asmah, looking back, what would you do differently? Is there anything that you regret or you think you should do differently? Ini Prof Abdul Karim tanya, mana dia?
Tahu. I think I left USM on high spirits, and sometimes it's better to leave when the university is on the high end rather than when it's dipping down. So I think God has been kind to me. Semua that has happened to me, I rasa ada hikmahnya. But whatever I had done, I have no regrets. So I think sekarang is up to the new management to now do. But remember one thing, Rome was never built in a day. Every vice chancellor that comes in will put in their layer of brick to make the university great. So and if the university flies, not because of you, it's because of the foundation before that brought the university to where it is. So I believe in that, and every vice chancellor that comes in, I was vice chancellor number 7 at USM, so I also layer my bricks, and I hope that USM at this point has moved to flexible education, has moved to what it takes to be a great apex university, which is now impactful. So I think it's leading the university on the correct path. So I hope the new management will take on the university further.
Harap Prof Karim lepas ni nanti, because kita akan keep the video, so harap-harap dia berpuas hati.
Can I ask one question?
Okay, sure.
Prof.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Okay, Dato', again, we have worked in the AAN and especially MAPIM and so on, so for many years. One thing I saw in you, actually, you are able to, of course, inspire many of us. Of course, many of us are more senior and so on, but you are able to even inspire the more senior, actually. And I think this is a kind of different from many successful women leaders. They like to belittle men, actually. So and of course, many of us who does not conform to those things, actually. So, for example, we are not the Professor Kangkung, whatever that. But I saw actually you are able to differentiate that. So, what's your tip in kind of recognizing talent, actually? Thank you.
Yeah, to me kan, you know, in most meetings I'm the only woman, right? Itu dah menjadi natural. That saya tak takut dalam meeting ni sebab I bila kita conduct meeting, I tak nampak lelaki atau perempuan. I nampak team player. So if I nampak team player, kenapa I nak belittle any members of the team? Is bila you terlalu conscious, yang ni lelaki ni pun, then different. But to me, I will joke macam mana joke dekat AAN or MAPIM or whatever, and I hope that the men will also consider me as a team player, and that is how I tak belittle anyone, and I hope to be able to get along with people. The world is a circle. Tak payah buat enemy. Datuk Radwan pun kata kemarin, tak payah kita buat enemy in anything that we do. Because hari ni you're up and hari ni the next day you're down, and but if we do good, insyaAllah people will remember you, and so tak adalah, tapi in my way, saya dekat mana-mana saya pergi, saya selalu, even now as President Academy Science pun, saya selalu bagi statistik gender. Statistik gender ni penting sebab kalau tidak dia kata number of men women sama, ada dalam akademik sains ada, then I will show dalam akademik sains 19% saja wanita, which is the top brains in science in the country. Siapa 19%? So baru orang boleh nampak is part and parcel of informed decision. Dalam USM saya pastikan tengok ada lelaki perempuan, tengok not because dia lelaki atau perempuan yang dia kena pegang jawatan, but because they're the best person for the job. But it is up to management to see gender parity. Gender parity is achieved or not dalam that particular organisation. Sebab dalam university yang di mana 70% studentnya adalah wanita, which is not only in Malaysia, it's not only USM, it's not only USIM, it's everywhere around the world. You have to have that input from wanita juga. And because like I said in the kita wanita banyak believe in family, participatory kind of leadership. It's natural now for companies and whatnot, even for board of directors, to have wanita as part and parcel because it gives a different perspective of things. So macam itulah Prof yang saya nak cerita, tak payah belittle anybody, everybody is part of the team and you're all team players.
Bukan the other way round ke Prof Zaki? Bukan man ke belittle women?
Don't start war, ni bulan puasa ni.
Okey, Dato', ada satu soalan daripada chat room kita. Dr. Nuraida Enduk, dia kata dia tak boleh nak tanya soalan sebab mic dia not working. So dia kata, when we talk about leadership by design, design to facilitate women in leadership positions may also need to come from the governance structure, which is also the spirit of the impact ranking. What is your take on the need to have gender equality policy in university? So you have talked about it a little bit, but maybe you can elaborate.
I think gender issues ni has to be part and parcel. And I think, okay lah, to answer Karim tadi, what is it that I didn't emphasize enough is gender, to move gender issues in USM. And also my big, not being able to move the gender issue as part and parcel of national policy for the country, even in the blueprint. I had wanted to do that if I had given the time, because 3 years is too short to turn around, move the deep in the S-curve, move the ranking, cari duit bagai nak gila. Dulu kaya kan, dan ni all universities kena cari duit, income generation and all that. We have to think about all that, tak sempat. But if I were given the opportunity, I think I would start the gender issue from the grant point of view. So mungkin kalau ada mereka daripada R&D listening in, I think from the grant point of view, you need to have panel of expertise yang ada wanita, and you need to have some policy di mana sekiranya wanita itu yang memohon grant, dia ada kena bagi some consideration sebab dia punya work-life balance is a little bit different daripada lelaki, and that is happening already. Like for example, I'm a member of TWAS, the Third World Academy of Sciences, and TWAS made it as part and parcel of the policy that any wanita sekiranya memohon untuk menjadi member of TWAS, because of what the wanita has to go through to come to the level of being considered to be a member of TWAS. There's only 8 people in Malaysia that is a member of TWAS. They give extra points. So itu menjadi policy. So itu belum lagi menjadi policy di R&D negara lah. So it's something that I think kalau saya ada opportunity, probably at the national level as a president academy, mungkin that will be my next job to do. Nuraida, insyaAllah we will try.
Okay, thank you. Ada soalan lagi? Any question?
Okay. So clear, tak ada soalan dah.
Very clear. Ni ada satu soalan ni. Okay, let me see.
Kalau tak ada soalan pun, I welcome comment. Kalau ada siapa-siapa nak tambah berdasarkan dia punya experience, their life and how they think it's probably a better approach ke apa ke. I also would like to learn. Like I said, learn, unlearn, relearn. Many things.
Any comment ke? Ini Abel Wu ni siapa ni Abel Wu? Abel Wu want to ask question personally to Dato'? Panjang juga soalan ni kalau nak baca ni.
Abel, what is it you want to ask, Abel?
Tak ada pula Abel Wu.
Ada, dia baru type in.
Itulah.
Dia,
mic not working.
Pasal no, you have to release the mic.
You tekan the apa
mute tu, release that. Do you have Abewu on your screen, Nik Mahiran? Because you can tell whether Abewu is apa?
Ya ke tak ya?
Cross tak?
Let me see Abewu, where are you?
Dr. Hasnizam, tak ada apa soalan?
Abewu tak boleh nak remute dia punya.
Assalamualaikum Dato' Asmah.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your sharing. Very inspiring.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, how are you? So I'm in Kelantan, no?
Yeah. From KL to Kelantan, mana weh?
So searching.
So searching, okay.
Tadi Dato' mentioned about one of the reason you want to go to US about MJ.
Yeah,
Michael Jackson. You managed to meet him or anything that you...
No. I never got a chance to meet Michael Jackson, but I got a chance to meet Bill Cosby, which is my other favorite guy. So it's okay lah. Helen Roddy and all that.
Any reason you love MJ?
No, because I thought he's very creative. I mean, kalau sekarang ni, I have to meet Shah Rukh Khan, which I did meet. So it's okay. No, I thought he's really cool guy. But you know, UNR is in Reno, Nevada, which is Sin City, USA. That's where all the casinos are, and all the big stars, either to Reno or Las Vegas, would come. So this is how I get the opportunity to meet. But Michael Jackson is too big for any of those casinos, so I didn't get a chance to meet him. Yeah. Okay.
So again, thank you, Dato', for I think I worked with you for about 4 years at KPT, though. I learned a lot from you and keep learning from you, insyaAllah.
And also do good in UMK now.
InsyaAllah.
Okay.
Kita bawa orang hebat daripada KPT, insyaAllah. Oh, Dr. Hasnizam, question?
Ya, Dato'.
Yeah.
Dalam situasi sekarang ni, what we are facing right now, is the new way of doing things, and then together with your experience before this, if you were given a university, quote unquote, what would you do? How are you going to lead the university? And what are the things that you would suggest to the upcoming leaders to look into?
Dia macam ni sekarang ni. I think if I were to create a new university now, it will have to be an online university. Sama macam Tata University or something like that. Because sekarang ni, international students, this I think the crux of what the universities have to face. Kita punya students, kita tak charge tinggi, right? And our income is coming now from the international student. Dengan adanya this COVID pandemic, no international student will now start to come. So at least for 2 years, dengan flights down, kita pun tak take off internationally, apa semua, international students will not come. Where are you going to get the money from? So bottom line sekarang ni, and medical is such that you cannot be charging a high medical yuran for medic now, because tak ramai keperluan untuk medik pun dah menurun. So sekarang ni, how you going to get all this money? So that's why you need, macam Prof Karim selalu duk ajak lah, you need to have to go online. You need to create micro credentials. You need to buat MOOCs lah ni. You need to have a new way of doing things. And I think if I were to set up a university all over again, I think I need to concentrate on skill. And skill saya sekarang ni is different because the skill coming from IPTA, now that I sit in the National Science Council, I find that dia tak boleh match the needs of the industry. And whether we poo-poo the industry or not, industry yang pace setters like the EE industry, their trajectory and their ability to do things are now even higher than what the university can do. Dengan equipment yang mereka ada, dengan keperluan yang mereka perlu lakukan. They are global player. Pace sectors industries in the country are global player. That's why in National Science Council we say set up technology assemblies. Maknanya sekarang ni kita set up consortiums yang companies get together, they form the consortium to create the technology assembly. And technology assembly are schools that train TVET skills. And they are the TVET low end, TVET middle end, TVET high end. So this is where now is needed. Even engineers kita, the regular training of engineers sekarang ni, you need to be trained in that now high level skill that they need. And you can't do that in IPTA. And it takes so long for an IPTA lah ni aku boleh cakap lah, hello. It takes so long for one program to be luluskan. So by the time is blasé, you know. So that's why at MQA, now that I chair MQA, kita kata sekarang MQA, kita recognize now the technology assemblies. Because technology assemblies are consortium of company 12, 15, 18 companies come together and they brought the high-end punya training to be there and they because they want all of those people to kerja dengan dia orang, they pay for all the scholarship, etc. etc. What is the best thing? I mean, really, that's the way forward sekarang ni, because nak tunggu universiti lambat. But I would make sure, if I was in the IPTA, I would make sure the lecturers are involved together with the technology assembly. Then that way, our lecturer is learning very fast what is now needed, truly needed by the industry. You know, learning, when now that I'm the board of Commonwealth Learning, I find that the countries in the Commonwealth dah lama medicine, engineering ni offered semua online. I kata dia orang, macam mana you buat online, because bukankah kita perlu to have skills, you know. Ni, dia orang semua pakai clinical simulation sekarang ni, you know, clinical simulation skills such that kalau dia kena buat operation ke apa ke, you know, by the computer simulation, dia touch any vessel, dia dah pecah, darah dah keluar. So basically the people can now be monitoring, the lecturers are monitoring, the surgeons are monitoring whether ni they are having the skill, and only when they pass the skill on clinical simulation baru dia bagi touch the patient. And masa tu dia dah kena buat registrar dekat hospital dah. So basically kita punya professional body pun kena review semula lah pemikiran mereka tentang concept of an engineer, concept of a doctor, concept of a nurse, concept of a ni. Semua ni sekarang ni sebab pembelajaran sekarang, you tengok sekarang. Semua universiti kata tutup until December. Semua dah boleh pergi online. Dulu tak boleh pergi online, boleh pula sekarang pergi online. So banyak benda COVID is pushing us to address the gaps fast. Betul tak? Dulu tak ada connectivity lah ni, kena ada connectivity whether you like it or not. Dulu kata exam kena duduk physical, boleh pula buat open exam. Awak tak boleh buat. So adakah MQA terima? Yes, MQA terima. Janji learning outcome is achieved. MQA dah bagi flexibility kepada Senate. So sekarang ni siapa yang takut? Don't play with me. So bila I kata lah ni bagi balik kepada Senate. So lah their Senate make the decision. So sekarang ni bila MQA kata I'm interested only in your learning outcome, bukan the process. Ulang suara, bukan the process. The process is up to you. How you make sure learning happen. It's no longer about teaching, man. This is now the world and era of learning. Did the student learn? Not whether you taught, you know, it's not what you teach, it's how you teach. It's how you teach now matters. So therefore, did the student undergo the learning of the objective that you set? Kalau student dapat the learning, MQA is okay. So there you are, Senate. Kita dah bagi balik pada Senate to now make that decision, nak go forward how you want to do. So begitulah kira-kiranya.
Another question tu. What do you think about let's say lah dalam university kita allows the lecturers to go to the industry freely. They can get involved and without being kata orang clock in, clock out, and then let them do their research freely. What do you think about this?
Apa yang saya nak fikir, memang dah dibenarkan. Itu yang saya suruh kata belajar pasal governance. Kalau you tahu governance, dah lama kita biarkan lecturer tu go. Lecturer nak pergi from one university to the other pun boleh. Dulu kena resign. Dan ni you kat mana ni? You kat UMS Unimas
Unimas.
Ha?
Unimas.
Allah, ada kat Poly. Okay, so lah ni kita dah membenarkan criss cross antara lecturer. Kita benarkan lecturer tu pergi to the company, kerja dengan company up to 5 years. Dah dibenarkan. Soalnya hampa nak ke tak nak je. So memang kita boleh benarkan up to 5 years. On the 5th year, by governance, on the 5th year, you make a decision. You want to stay in a company or you want to come back to the university. The bridge is there. And kita tak ada masalah sebab while you are at the company company pay your salary, your warrant, I akan ambil and hire a lecturer to isi your warrant. So you can be there up to 5 years. Alright? So that should be enough time whether you nak decide periuk nasi you is going to come from the company atau periuk nasi you is going to be at the university. So dah lama kita benarkan the flexibility. Soalnya sekarang ni kan kita ni itu yang saya kata, kalau kita faham governance, kita faham setakat mana gated autonomy dah membenarkan kepada universiti, actually kita tak ada masalah. Masalahnya bila pendaftar tak faham, VC tak faham, TNC tak faham. So bila jadi macam tu kita kata mana boleh. Bila mana boleh tu dia jadi sekat. You understand? So that's why I kata kat you, whoever is the number one of the university matters. Matters. Because they can make or break that university and they can make or break to create the conduciveness atau tidak conducive for the lecturers in that university. Kefahaman dia, level kefahaman dia tentang penguasaan governance. Okay, dah lama dibenarkan.
Assalamualaikum, nak tanya juga soalan.
Okay, Dr. Mustafa, alright, okay, sila.
Saya ni lecturer baru belajar.
Kat mana ni?
Saya daripada Unimat, Universiti Malaysia Perlis.
Okay.
Alumni USM, kena sebut lah.
Dulu USM kah?
Ya, degree USM.
Okay.
Master
Saya nak
USM.
borong kan? Okay.
Okay, Dato' ada few question lah. Yang first
Dulu
kali,
graduate from USM daripada mana?
civil engineering.
The Farhan Boys. Okay, ya.
Yeah, Farhan Boys.
Yeah.
Dia lecturer saya. Okay. Yang pertama Dato', regarding gender balance ni, kalau ikut EU punya polisi, kalau you nak submit grant lah under Marie Curie, you need to have fair, orang kata balance research team. So yang saya nak tahu, apakah ASM go for that? Itu nombor satu. Nombor dua Dato', berkenaan pasca COVID, apakah Dato' punya pandangan pasca COVID selepas ni dia akan ada some restriction terhadap research ni, especially for internet. So apakah strategi yang Dato' boleh cadangkan kepada semua yang ada dalam ni lah. Dan yang ketiga,
banyaknya satu-satu, saya dah 29 plus ni.
Sama. last Dato', dia simple je. So some nasihat advice kepada new lecturer macam saya ni. Kita nak buat make sure teaching and research tu part of kita punya tanggungjawab, bukan orang kata sebab universiti letak KPI kat you, dia more on kita nak tunjukkan kita punya orang kata happiness dalam buat sesuatu tu. Tu je 3.
Saya jawab mana saya ingat dululah pasal gender balance tu, saya rasa kita memang saya tengok Noraida dah message kat saya. Noraida is the head of Kanita di USM. Nampaknya gender issues now is brought forward now to be part and parcel of USM punya agenda. So I think alhamdulillah dah ada inroads into that. But saya rasa for my end at the national level, at least we have to make sure that MOSTI punya grants, because now as President Academy I bekerja lebih dengan MOSTI. So MOSTI punya grants kita kena pastikan, if not MOHE punya grants as well. So itu kita boleh to make sure that the policy is there, and I think it's better now because YBM pun seorang wanita. di Mohe. So mungkin nak dengar tu she will be more open-minded to that aspect lah for gender. And kedua, pasca COVID ni. Pasca COVID saya rasa sebab itulah lecturer baru ni, lecturer lama mampus dah, susah dah. When you dah jadi buluh dah tak boleh buat apa dah. Okay, but the young lecturer, this is the time for you to now learn the new modes of teaching. By micro-credentials, by MOOCs, by online learning. Bukan tukang you punya lecture jadi online. Itu tak interesting. So saya rasa kalau Karim ada online, dia akan bagi tahu all the Karims and the Muhammad MB and all those people yang mengajak pasal new modes of learning would now be telling you this is the kind to go forward lah. Especially dengan micro credentials, how to now do open exam. Learning, trust me, is going to be online. And if it's online, you're going to get more students international out there, right? Than just depending on the local student. Arham, pay attention because that's how, you're going to be able to move. And this is where becoming the preferred university now is very important. How do you make, because now suddenly 20 IPTA and 400 IPTS all gaming for the same group. But the world is a big place, man. So if you are the preferred university, that's how you do it. So how you going to do? You wheel and deal. So this is why you punya collaboration, you punya friendship dengan the universities overseas, you make sure walaupun online tapi you make sure that there is collaboration that can now be obtained. And tak salah pun sekarang ni you nak deal dengan China ke, you nak deal dengan siapa-siapa ke, no problem now. That's how I think we need to survive. So that means you need to now have new modes of teaching sekarang ni. And tak perlu pun exam. And therefore yang mengkekangkan kita apa? Senate ruling about residence. Betul tak? You kena ada kurang-kurangnya 1 tahun bermastautin. Hey, this is the time agile, respond to change. So Senate kena fikir sekarang ni how to now to move this, because of that one line. Habis kita tak boleh buat online. Habis international student kena juga bermastautin for 1 year. This is blocking. So bottom line sekarang ni unblock at Senate to allow now the university to fly. MQA tak ada masalah. Pasal mastautin ni semua bukan MQA punya ruling. That one is Senate punya ruling. So di situ saya rasa leadership that respond to change will now happen lah. And then your third soalan. Saya ni kan kena kata, kalau you nak kerja dengan lillah. If you kerja dengan kerana Allah, then that you don't even have to ask the question, because why are you receiving the salary every month? You gotta ask that question. Why are you receiving the salary every month? And you want to query whether I have to do research. It's your job. It's your tanggungjawab. So you kena buat research, kena buat teaching, you kena buat service kepada university, service pada masyarakat, service pada negara, semua pun kena buat. It's part and parcel bila you sign kata saya dengan ini ingin menjadi pensyarah of University XYZ. So kalau macam tu fulfill. Ini kita kena nak kata KPI. Saya pun worry tau, bila orang duk jatuh sakit pasal KPI ni, ada makhluk dalam sini semua yang anti KPI. Apa masalah KPI sebenarnya? Is it because it's the disease that you cannot cope and therefore you blame it on KPI? KPI is just telling you what is the minimum requirement that you need to have to keep pace. If you meet KPI of 3, that's equivalent to your salary. If you want to get cemerlang, you need to go beyond 3. So KPI letakkan what is the bare minimum you need to have for the salary that you make. So tapi orang marah-marah KPI ni. Tapi kalau tak ada KPI, amat kita tak buat apa pun. right? Bukan apa you tengok RU versus the rest of the universities. Dulu if you tengok sebelum 2006, sebelum kita evaluate, all RU flat. Masa tu kita being given the freedom, tak ada perkataan KPI pun main. Right? We're giving the freedom, bahasa nak publish ikut hang, tak mau publish ikut hang. Hang nak dapat grant ikut hang, tak mau dapat grant ikut hang. You can even just get by teaching kelas, lepas tu hang balik rumah. That's it, or you know, you can even get by. Life is good, but suddenly bila dapat RU and that Asma person go and put Myra there, and suddenly now there is a minimum KPI. Oh, marahlah bagai nak gila, right? So okay, bila marah tu marah apa? Takkanlah tak boleh produce 2 paper a year, something like that. Takkanlah for the salary. Salary dulu bukan salary salary you all ni is very high. PhD baru masuk kan, Datuk Radwan bagi 52 kan, is high already, to the point that why bother, betul tak Arham, why bother to get professorship when your salary is already high? Why bother to work because salary is already high? Right? Dulu zaman saya salary is low, so you gotta work in order to go to the next phase, dapat AP, nak dapat professor, you got to work lah, you know. Sekarang salary dah tinggi dah. Dalam masa saya menjadi lecturer ni, saya rasa dah 3-4 kali dah salary raise dalam hidup saya. You all punya hidup lagi banyak lagi salary akan raise, right? So that is something juga yang menjadi negatif, sebab bila tinggi dah salary, why bother to work hard? And then TNC jadi problema lah. Suruh publish, apa benda publish ni, grant pun tak ada dah. So therefore sekarang ni, that's why we have people like Arham to make sure now grants come from the industry. Grant daripada industri belana, tapi kita tak ada orang yang nak ambil sebab industri perlu kita deliver in 3 to 6 months. Itu yang menjadi kekangan. Kita kena ada continuous exam, kita kena this, kita kena that. Alah ni siap engkau duduk kat rumah buat semua, boleh pula? Right? With COVID has taught us we can do a lot of things at home. And we can have more meetings in a day because now tak payah travel, tak payah nak pergi from one kuliah to tak payah nak ambil kereta nak pergi from one bangunan to the next bangunan. Semua dah selamat. Carbon footprint pun boleh turun. Pollution is down. So there you are. Change. COVID, I think, has taught us many things, and I think online is the way to go, and that's why infrastructure, we discuss dengan Khairi Jamaluddin juga, that infrastructure for internet sekarang ni must be 100% connectivity now is a must, because sekarang ni the only way petani-petani kita pun dah mula belajar to go on agro bazaar online, right? So now this is the new way of doing things now, rather than go out the supermarket, semua dah mula beli online. Bila beli online, this is my next research. I challenge you now sekarang ni, the next research. How do we maintain standards regarding the food that is sent to us? Kalau kita beli daripada restoran, kita boleh check halal ke tak halal kan, kita bagi dia fine kalau dia buat benda-benda yang tak halal ataupun kotor dan sebagainya. Learning, how do we check? Suddenly now Grab is delivering to you this and delivering to you that. How do you know it's halal and how do you know? So there's so many things when we start to go to e-commerce, banyak benda lagi kita tak buat. So that's why KJ pun kata, once the COVID forces us to address the gaps, and it forces us also to see how much the policies have not caught up with the gaps, and that's what we need to now change fast.
Okay, wow.
Thank you, Datuk.
Bersemangat. Okay, Prof Karim dah masuk. Tapi saya ada satu soalan ni kat sini yang quite interesting. Ni daripada geng Jambu ke namanya. Geng Jambu ke tak tahulah nama penuhnya siapa. Tapi soalannya adalah dia nak tahu 5 prinsip kepimpinan Datuk. Macam mana Datuk overcome pentadbiran dengan politics dalam you punya leadership style. So what are 5 principles of your leadership styles?
I totally believe in consensus. So for me, empowerment style is very important. And to me, I don't believe in divas. right? Those yang calling diva, those yang calling nobody should ransom a university. Sebab university will always, no one is indispensable. So to me, teamwork and team play is very important. So honesty, integrity, hello. I tak boleh tahan mereka yang tak ada integrity, right? Kalau dengan PUU, I selalu kata kat dia, our legal, tell the pensyarah, if you touch any of my students, you die. Because that to me, the boundary between pensyarah dengan pelajar is always there. You can be friends, you can be pals, but they never cross that boundary. I think I dah cakap banyak pasal empathy, empowerment, character, values. I emphasize on values a lot, and I believe in people who are hardworking. As a leader, I usually go home late. Bukan I sengaja go home late, but I want to know who's working for the university and who is orang kata, you know, Jack boss. So bila bos ada, dia pun ada, dia pun busy, menunjuk macam dia kerja, tapi cukup masa dia pun balik main golf or whatever, balik rumah kena ni kena that. But I actually look for people who are hardworking and people who delivers. I cannot stand people yang banyak cakap tapi actually at the end of the day dia tak deliver. So, and because I think I work in USM for so long, I think dekat USM mereka tak berani cong I lah, because I kenal mereka masa mereka muda sampai mereka tua. So and I as VC I test run all these young academics to see whether they deliver or not. So, and those who deliver, I will nurture them. Itu penting bagi saya. Sebab, tapi kan, kalau you tak make yourself known, if the top management doesn't know you exist, macam mana you nak apply? You tell me. That's why you must be seen and you must be heard for the right things. You know, I tak boleh imagine how dalam satu school yang ada 350 pensyarah, the dean don't even know siapa dia benda Allah ni, apa dia, siapa dia. Oh, once the dean, who are you again? You're finished. How is a leader going to nurture you kalau dia tak tahu you exist in the school? So that's why the leader has got to come down. You know, you tak boleh duduk dekat dalam bilik you saja. So the leader to me, saya ni turun padang, jenis turun padang, and to inspire people. I like to inspire people, and basically my principle is that kalau budak panggil, turun pergi. Kalau ada conference, pergi buka. Kalau ada apa-apa tujuan untuk melatih pensyarah, pergi attend. There's no such thing as the VC is so bloody busy sampai tak ada masa. So you know already it's a thankless job. When you become the VC, you must try to attend semua ni. And why? Because when you attend, dia akan continue to inspire people. And only when you attend, you will see siapa yang actually bekerja untuk universiti dan siapa yang memang cakap kosong lah. So how you going to know that? So that's how, for me, I memang turun padang. And I tak kira sebab bila I sakit, you can tell. Berapa mate, siapa, even my send off, I have mates who actually hug me. I have students that hug me. I'm approachable to all. So bottom line, that's how you know whether you manage to touch base with people or not. When you are sick and when you are no longer VC, then you know the friendship is honest.
Okay. Thank you very much Datuk. Kita ada 2 minit aja lagi. Mungkin ada soalan akhir. Prof Karim nampak baru masuk.
Dia keluar masuk.
Tapi kalau okay. Ada setengah kata suara Datuk tak berapa dengar, tapi everybody boleh dengar elok kan? But anyway, kita akan ada recordings nanti insyaAllah. Go to our YouTube channel. So my boss is in. Boss, ada soalan ke pada mantan visi kita? Prof Azizi is in.
Assalamualaikum. Dia punya mic pun tak working ke?
Mic, Datuk, mic on to mic.
Yang ni dah jadi gathering of JPT dah pula ni.
Itulah. Assalamualaikum. Dengar ke Datuk?
Dengar. How are you?
Saya masuk lambat sikit dalam pukul 3 tadi.
Bila kita habis baru nak masuk. Alah.
Tapi dengar semangat. Kita biasa dengar kakak Ambo ni sejak daripada 2015 lagi. And I think I still remember one of the best speeches that he had given 2018 going global tu. Jadi thank you so much lah for sharing this in particular dengan team UMK dan semua lah. Saya tengok peserta tu datang daripada semua banyak universiti lah. So thank you very much lah.
No problem. Sedekah bulan puasa.
Itulah.
And it's cheaper naik Mahirah, tak payah bayar flight apa-apa pun.
Betul. Tapi jangan risau, ada token of appreciation. Kita always
appreciate. Okay.
Nanti sampah lah tu.
What I'm trying to say is that I think this is the way forward now. You know, at Academy Science pun, I rasa now meetings are done this way. It's cheaper in the long run. You know, you don't have to dress up. You know, only up here. What happens the bottom is another person ni. Tapi for all the men lah, tudung lah, shave lah something lah. Dan mereka tak boleh pergi barber punya pasal.
Cukup pala lah sebenarnya.
Sebenarnya lah, cukup pala. Okay. Ni, boleh rekod dah keempat dah.
Ya, kita
lagi masuk ni.
Itulah, mungkin last wrap up Datuk, pesanan ke, nasihat ke kepada semua pakar-pakar pemimpin kita ni dan juga pemimpin-pemimpin yang sedia ada.
The thing is, you know, I think you have listened to what happened in my life, and all I can say to you is that work hard to be someone of substance. What I didn't say is that, you know, kebanyakan kita bila kita pegang leadership, make sure we bring others up with us. And be, maknanya you have to be a mentor or a sponsor to bring the young ones up. A mentor is someone that you discuss with, but a sponsor makes a lot of difference because the sponsor open the doors. And a VC usually is a sponsor, you know, and you can make or break many lives. And sometimes it's just that one opening of the door that's going to make a difference in the life of of that person, to give that competitive edge, to give that opportunity. So work hard and be someone of substance and be a leader that is respected, and you know, and be a leader that is able to move Malaysia as a nation and also be a global player. Itu harapan saya.
Okey, terima kasih banyak Datuk. Jadi saya rasa sampai di sini sajalah kita pada hari ini. Dan kita jumpa lagi, ada satu siri lagi, siri terakhir dengan Tan Sri Gaus pada 8 hari bulan 5 pukul 2 waktu yang sama. Jadi sesiapa yang available silakan. Wajib kepada semua partisipan Unilead, sebab remember you need to do case study of our leaders. Jadi untuk itu saya ingin ucapkan ribuan terima kasih. Kita full house Datuk, sampaikan ada yang message kat saya tak boleh masuk. Tapi Google Meet.
How do I get these messages yang dia orang bagi ni?
Kita akan kita boleh linkkan kepada Datuk nanti. Nanti saya punya technician we will link it to you ya.
Okay.
Jadi saya rasa itu sajalah untuk hari ini. See us again 8/5 bersama Tan Sri Gaus. Semua invited. Jangan lambat sebab maksimumnya 250 orang aja untuk Google Meet ni. So sorry kalau yang tak boleh masuk sebab dihalang oleh sistem. So thank you very much.
Alright, thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Selamat berbuka.
Selamat berbuka.
Stay safe. Okay, salam.